everybody. Look who I have. Okay. This one is a little bit less placid than Seraph, but look at her. Look how huge she is. Roast cat. Suni is here. Okay, you can go. Jeez. Jesus Christ. All right, fine. Bye. Go get your brother who doesn't want to be your brother. Yes, hello. Yeah. Am I like glitching or anything? Because my internet says that it's going slowly, but well, it doesn't really say it's going slowly. It says it's going fine, but I'm getting a little symbol come up. Oh, look what happened. She scratched me. Damn cat. Hey everyone. Hi, it's been a while. I'm fine so far. Good. Looks fine. Hey cat. Hello. That little emoji of Suni was back from when she was teensy weensy. Now she is fat. She's a fat fatty. She's so fat that she rolls off things, like she can't balance. Like if she's like on a like, you know how cats like to get on the side of couches and stuff like that, she can't fit and she'll try to like put her bum on it and she'll actually fall. It's so funny. She's roly-poly. Hey. Okay. Yes, Jim, that's exactly what I have. I've got a grey one and a ginger one. But I can't like feed her lettuce because Seraph needs to keep his weight up. Dali Raid, very nice to see the Raiders. I was just over with Dali. That was a great stream. Okay. Hey, Tracy. Okay, guys. So I'm back on my innocence pedestal. I've always had a feeling, a pretty strong feeling, that Kouri Richins is getting a rough deal. Right? If you don't know about the Kouri Richins case, I will catch you up. Most people do know about who Kouri Richins is and what the charges are against her. There are more charges than most people know. They've been throwing charges at her for the last few years. Like they've been throwing all these fraud charges and just financial crimes charges at her. But the big charges are murder, and there's an attempted murder as well, poisoning her husband. I've had a feeling for a long time that she didn't do this. Or if she did, that it was accidental. So, like, not intentional. But the thing is, with Kouri Richins, she's in Utah. And in Utah, and I think Michigan's the same, at arraignment, the family members, they get to do this thing that's kind of like a victim impact statement where they get to just throw all these allegations at the defendant. It can be a bunch of hearsay. It can be really damning stuff with no factual basis whatsoever. They get to just air their grievances at the defendant in court. And in high-profile cases, it gets televised. And people feel very, very sorry for the victim and the victim's families, but it's quite prejudicial. And people get the idea right from day one, she did it. Of course she did it. She's evil, right? She hated him. She was having an affair, and of course she wanted him out of the way. And I just feel like she's gotten a very raw deal right from the start, because the thing is, they've heard all this stuff from the victim's family, which was very emotional, as it would be. And of course, they've heard the information from the prosecutors. But as you do, you don't hear the defendant's side. So the public is so tainted by all this information that they get from the government, the media, the victim's family that they don't hear the defendant's side until court, right? And it's been 2.5 years, and she's been in custody all this time, right? So there's been 2 bond hearings, and she's been denied bail. And a lot of shady stuff's happened in that time. A lot, right? So there's been a lot of allegations of prosecutorial misconduct. There has been interception of her jail calls. There has been, let's just say, some very I'm not going to say that the there's a thing called the walk the dog the letter, right? She was writing some correspondence, or she was saying also that it might have been a script for a book or a manifesto or a manuscript, for a book in her jail cell. And it had written on it that it was attorney-client privilege. It was for her lawyer, Sky Lazaro. And it was taken from her jail cell. And it has been ruled that it will be admissible except for parts of it which actually mention her lawyer at the time, Sky Lazaro. Sky Lazaro is no longer representing her, and people assume it's because there's some big problem between her and her attorney at the time, Sky Lazaro. Sky Lazaro tried to get the prosecutors kicked off the case for misconduct. Didn't happen, right? There's so much that has happened up to this point, and I'm going to tell you today about the most recent thing that's happened, and this is flat out a Brady violation, right? The thing that's happened to it most recently, I don't think it will be called a Brady violation because it's the state, they get away with everything, right? But you tell me what you think when I talk you through what's happened most recently. The state has gotten away with so much when it comes to the case against Kouri Richins. Whether you think she's guilty or not, she has been treated like shit. And we don't know if she's guilty. We just don't. But she should be treated fairly. And she's been held in jail for 2.5 years with no contact with her sons. Her sons are young. They're growing up, not just without their dad, who has passed, but without their mother as well. And we don't know whether she's guilty. And the whole world seems to have decided that she is. Hey, Steve, how are you? Hey, Pat. Suffer, Kouri, suffer. Well, she is suffering. She is, right? And I'm just really tired of people making up their mind that she is guilty prior to hearing all the evidence, right? It's been 2.5 years of a lot of crap from the state, a lot of it. Yeah, like they have behaved appallingly. And this latest thing that I'm going to tell you about, it's egregious, right? There is no excuse for what they've just done. They have taken the star witness, right? And when I say the star witness, the person who puts the poison, the fentanyl, in the hands of Kouri Richins, they have taken his testimony, which he's recanted in April, and hidden that recantation from the defense, right? So he recanted that testimony. He said, actually, no, that's not right. I didn't sell fentanyl to her housekeeper and Therefore, how did her housekeeper get fentanyl? Because I didn't sell it to her. I know I didn't. So that was the link. That was how Kouri Richins supposedly got the fentanyl that killed her husband. And they don't have that anymore. So the state had that information in April. And the defense still wouldn't have that information if it weren't for the fact that they went and interviewed that witness themselves. They found out on their own that witness, Robert Crozier, had recanted that testimony, and they have an affidavit to prove it. They still wouldn't know. And the trial is set for early next year. I think it's February. That is what's called a Brady violation. It's not the first thing that they've done. This is not the first thing the state has done, which is absolutely appalling. Mavka. So, she is also, yes, charged with several counts of fraud. That does not make her guilty of murder. Okay, so if she is cooked on the fraud charges, cool. Okay, so it reminds me very much of Alex Murdoch case, right? So, and I'm really pleased that just recently the state has effectively bifurcated the fraud charges, the financial crimes, from her murder and attempted murder charges, right? So that's a whole separate case, different trial. Good. So they should be, because we don't want another Alex Murdoch trial where it's basically a bunch of evidence of bad character that comes in to do with her financial crimes, which therefore tells the jury that she's a terrible person and therefore she could murder her husband. They're completely separate things. Just because you could defraud somebody doesn't mean that you could commit murder. Alicia? Hello. Muted. Muted. Still muted. Still muted. Still muted. Muted. Mute. No, for God's sake. Just leave and come back. Hello? Mute. Okay, bye. Dolly, I think you're muted. Boomer. Okay, bye. All right, so guys, let's look at this. So I'm going to just take you really quickly through the case, just in case anybody is unfamiliar with it. Hey, beautiful waterfall, how are you? Hello. You think he know, but he just doesn't sometimes. You there? Hello? Still muted?
You're muted.
No. Okay, now you're all right.
You hear me?
Yeah, just talk again. Hello? Okay, now you're a robot. Oh, for God's sake, what are you doing? No, now you're muted. Muted. Okay, I'll just let you sort yourself out. It's just Dolly sitting down there just like being a ventriloquist. Kouri Richins, Utah mother of three, faces charges of aggravated murder for allegedly poisoning her husband, Eric Richins, in March 2022. She's also charged with attempted murder because apparently she tried to poison him with a sandwich sometime earlier. Sound familiar? Sounds a bit like Mushroom Lady, right? Except they ended up dropping Mushroom Lady's attempted murder charge at like the day of trial. There she is with Eric. That's the husband. So prosecutors claim she used fentanyl to kill her husband and attempted to poison him earlier on Valentine's Day. Okay, so nice Valentine's Day. Now, P.S., there's a little bit of background. She had a lover, and allegedly he had a lover as well, right? So there's text messages and there's emails and stuff. So this is all going to come in at trial, absolutely. But she had a lover that she called her paramour. Who calls their lover their paramour? It's a weird thing to call them, I suppose. But yeah, so she had been texting with him. There's also some correspondence getting around about her saying to Eric, that's the husband, that it needs to end with this woman that he's seeing. So they were on the rocks, right? They're also rich, right? So they have like big properties and stuff like that in Utah. They're doing pretty well for themselves. Oh, now I can hear you. Hello.
You can hear
me?
me? Thumbs up.
Okay.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I cannot hear you.
You just answered me. All right, just go take the day off.
I'm sorry, Hella.
It's all right.
Oh, wait, maybe this will... Oh, I know what's wrong. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you are. She didn't call him paramour. The state used that term because the male form of mistress doesn't exist. Really? I thought she called him paramour. Really? Oh, that's the state's term. Oh, that's even funnier. That is even funnier.
Har har.
Wow. Okay, but that makes more sense though, Matt. That makes more sense because what woman would call you, oh, my paramour? Like, that makes her sound like even more of a dick.
Yeah.
Okay, because yes, there is no male term for mistress. Manstress?
Yeah.
Manletstress? Paramour, such a stupid word.
It is. So like old timey too.
It is old timey, but it's just lame. So dumb. Man whore is much better. They should have said man whore. I remember a dude, like, we used to call each other hoe. You're my hoe. You're my hoe.
Aw.
Well, it's just an endearing thing. Anyway, so it was on Valentine's Day. How romantic. Okay, so the case gained attention when Kouri published a children's book on grief following her husband's death, presenting herself as a grieving widow. This part's kind of funny, right? And not just because of the hair on the lady over there. I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the hell? What is she thinking? Like, is she trying out for a girl band or? That is the dumbest hair I've ever seen.
She looks like she's going as a Queen of England for Halloween.
It is awful. That is awful hair. Right. So the book was called Are You With Me? And I had just a little bit of this interview. Hang on.
You know how hard it is to find that book now?
Yeah, you can't get it.
I know. I looked all over.
I'm sure you have.
It's even more difficult to get than Becky Hill's book.
Joining us now is author of Are You With Me? Kouri Richins, to share her 3 C's to helping kids cope with grief. And Kouri, I want to start with your story. What happened in your personal life?
So my husband passed away unexpectedly last year. So it's March was a 1-year anniversary for us.
She's a cutie pie.
He was 39. It completely took us all by shock. And we have 3 little boys, 10, 9, and 6.
So,
and
anyways, I'm single.
You know, my kids and I kind of wrote this book on the different emotions and grieving processes that we've experienced last year, and you know, hoping that it can kind of help other kids, you know, deal with this and kind of, you know, find happiness some way or another,
and to make sense and process. I'm
Yes.
sure, and I'm sure you felt that going through and trying to explain it and articulate it for you and your boys.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay, so Jim, thank you for being a member for 12 months. Back, you left your innocence stool. What are you talking about? Okay.
It's a hard stool.
It is. It's hard to keep track of it. Okay, so I just want to point something out about her here.
She's very attractive. It makes me smitten.
Sure, you've got a crush on Kouri. She looks to be on drugs.
I wonder if I can write to her.
Disagree? Like, look at her. Hang on. Look at her.
Poor thing. So you're saying she needs to be fixed?
No.
Oh.
Okay, so this is a few months after the death.
No, I do agree. She does look like
6
really
months.
stoned there.
She looks something, right? Also, why is she wearing her parka, like her jacket? Like, wouldn't
Maybe she's cold.
I mean, she's in a studio.
Well,
She
they
just
could be
doesn't
cold
look
there.
all there. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, her husband died a few months ago.
Yeah, she's mourning.
We can't all be Erica Kurt.
No, not true. Yeah. Bad frame. Hell. No, and that's why I showed you the video. Amen. Because I agree, like sometimes there's just bad frames, right? But I showed you the video because she looks like that. Yeah, she looks really like in the video too. Yeah. And I'm on her side, Shibbles too, yeah. Apparently she refused to shed the jacket. Interesting. ACH. Yeah, she got that cracked jaw. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. So I have a theory about what was going on with these two. I think that not just her, but him too, that they were both messing around with drugs. I think they both were. All right. And she has said this since in this correspondence that she had with her mother. This sort of walk the dog thing crap that the prosecutors have gotten hold of, and I think it's illegally the way it's been gotten hold of.
Yeah.
They have the prison guards stole it out of her cell, and it was clearly marked attorney-client privilege. She has said in emails that he was on drugs, but I think she was too. right? I think that they were both messing around with drugs. No one wants to say it because he's passed and you don't speak like that of the dead, right?
Sure.
And his family won't have a word of it, right? His family make out like he's some kind of saint. And they got to speak at the arraignment and talk about how she's the devil incarnate and he is some sort of deity, right? I think they were both into it. And that explains a fair bit. Okay, so investigators revealed a darker side, including her alleged financial motives and a second iPhone, oh no, a pedophile, used for incriminating searches. Kouri's legal team withdrew and she now faces a potential life sentence if convicted. Yeah, well, no shit. Okay, so the case has been marked by dramatic turns, including Kouri's. She was very silent for a while, and then she came out with this statement about a year ago, declaring her innocence and accusing the prosecution of lots of shady stuff. But more shady stuff has happened since. Okay, so this is the latest thing, right? So like my little animation, isn't that cute? Hang on, we'll do it again. Oxy, boom, boom, fentanyl, boom, boom. And then there's a little blue pill that ends up in Eric's tummy. Okay, so what we have is this dude over here, Robert Crozier. Now, Robert Crozier is the one who's just recanted his testimony. So he was going to be the state's like star witness, right? But he's a druggie.
Yeah.
He's a confessed drug dealer, and he was off his face at the time when he made the confession to the cops, probably under a lot of pressure, I would say, that he sold fentanyl to this woman, Carmen Lorber, who also seems to be just an upstanding citizen, right? The housekeeper, who is, again, she's throwing Kouri under the bus, because Kouri supposedly was looking for fentanyl. And yeah, okay, because there is evidence of her looking for fentanyl. So there is a case against Kouri anyway, that she was looking for fentanyl, right? But the state's case was built around her getting fentanyl via Carmen Lorber from Robert Crozier. But Robert Crozier now says, no, I didn't sell any fentanyl to Carmen Lorber. I sold Oxycontin, right? In a blue pill. Blue pills.
Uh-oh. Not that blue pill, chat. Not that blue pill.
Yeah. Has any of her family or friends said she was on drugs? Her family's sticking by her, Tracy.
Good for them.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take you through Robert Crozier's statement in a moment, but this looks really, really bad for the prosecutors because they've hidden this. Yeah, and this was a really big part of their it's not their probable cause, but it's their case, right? And it was keeping her in prison or jail. She wants out. She's tried twice to get out on bail. Her trial keeps getting put off. And of course, the public is all like, oh, she's buying time, la, la, la. No, the state keeps fucking around.
Yeah.
Right? They fucked around several times. They have listened to her jail calls. They have stolen stuff from her jail cell. And now this, right? So it's not the defendant's fault that the trial keeps getting put off. It is the state's fault. This happens all the fucking time, right?
Very true.
And whether she's guilty or not, you can't just blame the defense that this is taking so long, as far as I know, she's not waived her right to speedy trial. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. She's still got speedy. And if she's still got speedy, who's holding this up? State. So, therefore, this latest thing requires some remedy. The defense has come along and asked for the conditions of her bail to be, or for there to be bail, conditions of her
Or there would be kind of a
incarceration.
sanction.
Yeah, they're looking for a sanction. And I'm surprised that they've only asked for what they've asked for, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. I reckon there should be a motion to dismiss. But we all know that state doesn't tend to get slapped on the wrist very often in these cases. By the way, that's a Moscow mule, that thing there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Hey, comrade.
allegedly, and she stated she did make him a Moscow mule that night on Valentine's Day night, and allegedly that's what had the poison in it or the drugs in it. So I'm now going to take that away for a second. And we'll go and have a look at the document.
Okay.
Just a sec.
We've almost got it, chat.
You could actually talk to chat rather than
Oh, if you'd like.
Yeah, rather than be awkward.
Mavka, she punched her awkward? Me? No. She punched her sister-in-law in the throat once she learned the sister-in-law was getting the insurance money and not her. Well, who hasn't wanted to punch an in-law in the throat? I know Hella has. See?
I've wanted to punch my co-host in the throat. That's that.
Me too. And you know what's really cool right now, guys? I'm getting a hurricane.
Are you?
Yeah, I think I'm only gonna get a couple inches, I think. But yeah, it's raining right now, and it's gonna really give it to me this weekend.
It's kind of like when I got a cyclone and it didn't really turn out to be much.
I mean,
you're a long way inland.
Well, it's like gonna kind of make a direct path for me, but there's kind of a lot of land between me and the biggest part. So it'll be like a tropical storm.
We are not.
No.
So Tracy, here's what happened with the jail calls, right? So no call between her and a attorney should ever be listened to by prosecution. They should not be monitored. You know that, right? So what happened was there's supposedly some app that the attorneys are meant to use. They're supposed to log into so that the prosecution can see and the jail staff can see that it is a attorney-client call. And so they can know, okay, keep away from that one. We can't listen to that one, right? But there was some problem with the app, right? And so the one of the defense attorneys was calling and that wasn't using the app, right? And so it was a technical problem.
Yeah.
And the state just downloaded their calls between Kouri and this defense attorney and archived them and could have, we don't know, listened to them. There was no way of knowing whether they listened to them.
Yeah.
And the argument was, well, just because there's this app doesn't mean that you can, and because we didn't use the app, doesn't mean you're allowed to just take our calls, right?
Yeah.
there's still that's still a constitutional problem, right? You
Yeah,
can't
just a little
you
bit.
can't say, oh, because there's an app, like the Constitution still says that there's attorney-client privilege,
Yeah.
right? It's just not
Yeah.
right.
The Constitution doesn't mention an app in it.
Yeah, it doesn't mention an app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Gigi, how are you, love?
Hey.
What's this CH? What's going on with Sorey? It's Sorey
Oh,
on.
go up more. No, well,
So I teaching a class for Homeland Security, preventing the plea.
hmm,
Oh, okay. I'm just looking forward to his stream with
yeah.
Lana. Can't wait.
Is he going to?
Oh yeah, Lana's got him. Like as soon as he can talk.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, he's confirmed. It's on. Could she get bail? We're going to talk about that. I'm surprised that dude is still working after getting humiliated. Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Okay, so let's get into this. This is cool. When I say cool, it's unbelievable. So we have an affidavit from the drug dealer. And again, the only reason this affidavit exists is because the defense went and found this guy
Mm.
and interviewed
And
him.
interviewed him. Oh.
Yeah. This would still be a secret. The prosecution would still have this information secret if the defense hadn't happened upon it. And I don't even know why they went to interview him. Maybe they went to find out something else, or maybe they were tipped off by somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right. But they went to interview him. I think he's in jail. And so it was
Yeah.
easy to find him. And he went, oh, didn't they tell you this? Yeah, I told the prosecutors this in April. And they were like, what now? You did what now? Okay, so Affian, being duly sworn, says, my name's Robert Crozier. I'm currently residing in the Davis County Jail. Oh, yeah, he's in jail, yeah. In Utah. I'm over the age of 18, blah, blah, blah. I've been identified as a witness in the above stated manner. In this capacity, I have been interviewed on 2 separate occasions by individuals associated with the prosecution of Kouri Richins. I have been told that the first interview was on or about May 4, 2023. It was conducted by 2 officers from the Summit County Police Department at the Davis County Jail. I do not know the name of the officers who interviewed me. All right, so on May 4, 2023, I had been in jail for a short time and was detoxing from drug use. I do not have any personal recollection of the details of that interview, although I have since been told that I agreed that I had sold fentanyl to Carmen Lorber in 2022 on 2 occasions. Right, so just imagine this, right? He was detoxing and he doesn't even remember what he said. Yeah. So they've got this guy in a room and he's detoxing, and he supposedly said that he sold fentanyl to Carmen Lorber, who is the housekeeper for Kouri and Eric, right? And he was told that he said that he sold them fentanyl in 2022, which is a year beforehand, right? And this dude was clearly a drug addict. Yeah. This all sounds so not credible anyway. Like, if you are listening to his testimony on the stand about this, I don't know how you're even going to believe it anyway, right? He's not going to be the best witness. So in early April of 2025, I was asked to meet with 2 people from Summit County Attorney's Office. Right. So this year, I believe that both individuals were prosecutors, and they told me they were prosecuting Kouri Richins. I believe that one of them was Brad Bloodworth. Now, this dude, he's the main prosecutor, right? Bloodworth. I cannot recall the name of the other individual who was at that meeting, but it was a man with a beard. Okay, so he's added this bit. I was sober at that meeting and had been sober for over 3 months. Okay, that's important, right? So he knew, he's saying that he was of a sound mind when he spoke to them and had been of sound mind for a while. So supposedly he was better able to speak than he was back then. Although more time has passed.
True.
But still. 7. We met at Starbucks Coffee in downtown Salt Lake City. I believe that it was the Starbucks on ADS Main Street. Mr. Bloodworth and the other individual asked me if I had sold fentanyl to Carmen Lorber. I told them no. I sold OxyContin to Carmen Lorber on 2 occasions in early 2022. I told them I met her at Maverick in Draper both times to sell her the pills. They asked why I had previously told officers that I sold her fentanyl. I told them I did not remember saying that, and that I had been detoxing during that interview and was out of it. Hey, Tracy, there's a whole set of hearings about this stuff. And the person's name comes up, like when you are calling somebody, the person's name comes up immediately. So they shouldn't have downloaded or listened to any of them. Like the defense attorney's name would have been there. So why did they download them is more the question. But you can go and look into it a bit more if you'd like. Like, it's the argument around it is very interesting. But yeah, clearly there's been 1, 2, 3, at least 3 times now where they've had to stop proceedings and look into issues of the prosecutors trying to, or allegedly trying to, look at attorney-client privilege information, which is worrying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. D. I told them that I was certain that I had sold Carmen Lorber OxyContin 30 milligram pills, otherwise known as Roxys or Roxy 30s. They asked me several times if I was sure, and I told them yes. I was sure I sold her OxyContin. I was told at that meeting that I would be called as a witness in this case, and that the Summit County's attorney's office would be putting me up in a hotel near the courthouse. I certify that this statement is true, dated 10th of September 2025. Okay, so I'm curious as to whether these OxyContin pills were street ones, like as in pressed street ones, or whether they were real ones, right? Because if they're street ones, then they could absolutely have had fentanyl in them and no one knew.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and when I say just like had fentanyl in them. Just because they've like laced with fentanyl doesn't mean that that's just a little bit of fentanyl.
Yeah.
They could have had tons of fentanyl in them
Not
and
knowing.
not knowing. Yeah, exactly. Right. But how are you going to find out now? I'd also like to know whether or not he had oxycodone in his system.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, you got to pop off?
Yeah. I'm here for Sal. I'm actually going to be taking a powder. Hopefully you stay for Ella. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
He talks about his oxy script at one point. Not sure what he sold Carmen though. Yeah. I'm very curious about that, but let's get to what the hang on, am I at the right place? Yeah. Let's get to what the defense has to say about this. So they want a reconsideration of bail. So let's have a look. Oops. Reconsideration of bail. Here's how I feel about bail in these cases. I just don't understand why you wouldn't let somebody like this have bail when it's very easy to monitor, but we'll put somebody on an ankle monitor so you can be sure that they're not going to like get on a plane or something like that, right? She's not accused of like an aggravated violent crime. Like she didn't go out shooting people or anything like that. So it's not like she's a violent criminal. And I feel like what this is about, like keeping her in custody, is about some sort of vengeance, right? She's not a danger to society. And she's been in there for so long now. This is just dragging on and on and on. She's a mother to three boys. Why? Why are you keeping her in there? She's not been found guilty of anything. Let her out, for God's sake. She has access to money, is facing life, has many dozens of other felony charges. Yeah, okay, but how's she going to leave? You put her on a tether, how's she going to leave? The tethers are pretty good, aren't they? Kouri Richins, by and through undersigned counsel, hereby moves this court to reconsider setting bail and ordering conditions of release pursuant to section 77202071A B of the Utah Code, which provides in part that a party may move to modify a pretrial status order at any time upon showing that there has been a material change in circumstances. This motion is based on the following. Okay, so the matter of bail has been brought through this court on two occasions. Yes, they've tried twice. First, on June 12, 2023, this court conducted a detention hearing and considered exhibits, testimony, and arguments submitted by parties. At that time, Ms. Richins was facing a potential death penalty on the aggravated murder charge and was not entitled to bail as a matter of right pursuant to section 7720. Why was it aggravated murder? Isn't aggravated like a violent murder? The court did, however, go on to find that there was substantial evidence to support the charge and clear and convincing evidence that the defendant would pose a substantial danger to the community if released on bail. I don't get how she's a danger to the community. Like if this was supposedly a targeted murder, like it was to do with just her husband who she had a problem with, then how is she a danger to the community? At that time, the court made no findings of risk of flight. Okay. On October 22, 2024, Ms. Richins, through counsel, filed a motion to reconsider bail, arguing that there had been a material change of circumstances since the prior detention hearing. The court found that a material change in circumstances did exist. On November 12, 2024, a hearing was held on the motion. After oral argument, the court ruled from the bench that there was still substantial evidence to support the charge. Right, so in Utah, apparently there needs to be substantial evidence to support the charge in order to keep her in jail. I would have thought there'd need to be substantial evidence to support the charge just to charge her. But cool, all right. There needs to be substantial evidence to support the charge just to keep her in jail. And clear and convincing evidence that the defendant would pose a substantial danger to the community and further with a flight risk. Ms. Richins has now been held in pretrial custody for 28 months. Right, so now there's another material change in some circumstances since November of 2024. Obviously, because we have this thing with the dealer. Would I give Tyler Robinson bail? Hell no, because he shot into a crowd, right? Not only did he allegedly shoot a man dead, but he also shot into a crowd. That is a danger to the community, right? Whereas this woman allegedly poisoned her husband and didn't put anyone else at risk. So it's completely different. And P.S., I believe that the same defense attorney is representing Tyler. That should be interesting. She's very good. And Andrea Burkhart is going to be streaming his arraignment. And arraignments, like as we said, are very interesting in Utah. New evidence has come to light that goes to the heart of state's allegation that Ms. Richins poisoned her husband with fentanyl. The state's case is based on statements that made by Carmen Lorber that she procured fentanyl from Mr. Robert Crozier on 2 occasions and sold to Ms. Richins. The defense has recently learned that in April of 2025, Mr. Crozier met with prosecutors from Summit County and informed them that this was not true. Not true. Mr. Crozier told members of the prosecution team that he did not sell fentanyl to Ms. Lorber, but rather sold her OxyContin. Although the state failed to disclose this, exculpatory statement to the defense as required under Brady and Giglio, haha, nice reference there. The defense learned of it independently when they interviewed Mr. Crozier on September 3, 2025, at which time he relayed this exculpatory information. This looks bad, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Mr. Crozier has now informed both the state and the defense that he sold only OxyContin to Carmen Lorber on 2 occasions in early 2022. See attached affidavit, we just read that. He further told both the state and the defense that he did not recall previously telling Summit County detectives that he sold fentanyl to Ms. Lorber at the time of previous interview. He had been detoxing and was out of it. Yeah, great witness you've got there, state. Mr. Crozier, who is now sober, states that he is certain he sold Ms. Lorber 30 milligram OxyContin pills on both occasions. Right. So argument is, so an individual charged with or arrested for a criminal offense shall be admitted to bail as a matter of right, except if the individual is charged with a felony where there is substantial evidence to support the charge and the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that, one, the individual would constitute a substantial danger to any other individual or to the community after considering the conditions of release that the court may impose if the individual is released on bail. So, chat, do you think that Kouri Richins is a danger to the community? 1 or 2? Danger? Yes. Not a danger? 2. Sorry. 1, danger. 2, not a danger. 1, danger. 2, not a danger. There's no wrong answers. The individual is likely to flee the jurisdiction of the court if the individual is released on bail. If you think she's a danger, tell me why. Like, do you think she's going to go around poisoning people? Shooting people? Beating people up? And if so, who? Like, I'm actually really, I want to hear why. Like, I just don't see it. I just don't see who you think she might hurt. She's shown aggression towards others, including her sister-in-law. Well, her sister-in-law's said some pretty nasty things about her, but like violent aggression or just like words? Maybe the Richins family? I don't know. I'm just really like being really serious now. Who do you think and in what way do you think she would be actually dangerous? The kids? Is that true, Mavka? Is there evidence of that? Okay. And yeah, do you think she's likely to flee? I think it's probably more likely that she'd flee than hurt somebody. I see that one. I think is the greater risk, but I think that, let's just say, if I were the prosecutors, I would see a advantage in letting her be free to a degree, like on house arrest, for example, and get a little bit comfortable, tap her phones, that kind of thing. And I think that more information might come out that way. Like, monitor her, put some really like strict boundaries around her house arrest situation, and yeah, wiretap her and let her talk a little bit, get a bit more evidence going, because their case is not looking that great right now. So yeah, if I were the prosecutors, I would be thinking about that. Yes, Tracy, that's separate. So didn't she steal from multiple people that she's also being charged for? Is she facing life? What is stopping her from losing it? All right, so they're separate charges, and the state has now bifurcated that into a separate case, so she won't be charged or won't be tried for those charges in the same trial, which is good, because that's quite prejudicial to the murder charges. I don't know whether or not the penalty for those charges would amount to life in prison. I know that the state just keeps throwing charges at her. There's lots of fraud, and what? So your question is, what is stopping her from losing it? I don't know. I don't know if she's a violent character, right? The thing is that we're talking about poisoning, and to me, poisoning is not like shooting people up or like stabbing or anything like that. And we don't even know if she did poison. This could have been accidental. Even it could have been that the two of them were playing around with drugs and started to stuff around with fentanyl, and fentanyl kills people. That's what it comes down to, right? So the thing about fentanyl is, and this is why there are so many fentanyl deaths, overdoses, is that it gets into chunks, right? Fentanyl is freaking dangerous because you can't know when it's going to accumulate into really dangerous, potent little chunks, right? You don't know. So if you mess around with it, suddenly you end up dead. And if the two of these people, if they were enabling each other, if they were getting drugs, if they were playing with oxy, they were playing with fentanyl, any of the downers, right? Maybe they were playing with some coke as well. Who knows, right? They had money. If they were starting to play with drugs and they started to play with fentanyl as well, who knows if they just suddenly got a batch that had too much in it. Because I feel like Helen should get more than Salvador. Well, I should. Thank you, David. That's very nice of you, 1999. You're lovely, David. Thank you. 2 accidental murder attempts, just one accidentally caused a death. Well, we don't know about these other things. That's just what the state says. Do you suddenly believe the state all the time, Avka? Okay. Although the court has previously found that there is substantial evidence to support the charges against Ms. Richins, Mr. Crozier's recantation of his previous statement changes the landscape to a degree that cannot be ignored. In order to continue to hold Ms. Richins without bail, the court must first find that there is substantial evidence to support the charge, and that simply no longer exists. In quotes. Our Supreme Court has explained that the purpose of the substantial evidence standard in the bail context is to ensure that the quantum of evidence presented by the state sufficiently justifies the denial of the defendant's right to freedom from pretrial incarceration, State versus Grace. In this matter, the state's entire theory of criminal liability is that Kouri Richins procured fentanyl from her housekeeper Carmen Loba, which she caused to be unwillingly ingested by her husband in some unknown way, directly causing his death. There is no physical evidence of this, but only the statements of Carmen Loba, and these statements are wholly dependent on whether or not Loba procured fentanyl from Robert Crozier. Well, if the state has based their case on this, they're in trouble because they don't have him anymore. Gone. None of these so-called fentanyl pills were found nor tested. Well, it would have been good if there was some left over, but there weren't. Lorber only believes she sold Kouri fentanyl because she believed that is what Crozier gave her. If Robert Crozier did not in fact sell fentanyl to Lorber, there can be no credible argument that substantial evidence of guilt exists. Look, I'm not sure about that. There's still a case. It's just that it's not what it was before. And like in the state's defense, I'm sure they're gonna pull something together, right? They're gonna pull something together, but it's not going to include Robert Crozier, right? The defense wants to use this to get her out now because she's been in there for a fucking long time. And this is a fair argument that the case as it stands right now isn't solid. It was solid before by the court standard, and now it's not. So let her out. Thank you, darling, for the 1 excited utterance membership. Much appreciated. Lovely to see J-Rock here too. Hello, friends. Hello. You feel like that amount is 1 month's rent in Australia? Close. And since in criminal cases, a jury must find a defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, the substantial evidence standard is met when prosecution presents evidence capable of supporting a jury finding that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, I mean, let's be completely honest. Jury's going to find her guilty anyway, because juries will jury. But the landscape has changed, as they say. And thank you for the second one as well. It's so nice of you. Does it really change anything? If she asked for fentanyl and the person gave her oxy with fentanyl mixed in it, he still passed. Yes, but we are guessing. We are guessing, Tracy. So, yeah, you're right. And like I said a minute ago, the state will work this out. Like they're going to make a case anyway, right? They're just not going to include Robert Crozier in it anymore. He's gone. And he's not a great witness, right? I'm surprised they really even were going to use him because he's shit. I guess using him wasn't a terrible idea as long as he stuck to his story, but he was going to be pulled apart on cross anyway because he's a drug addict. But now he's a terrible witness. So you take him out of the equation and you still got Kouri asking for fentanyl. There's a text message. She's asking for fentanyl. Dumb, right? But let's also look at it the other way around. If she is trying to poison her husband, what's she doing? Texting, asking for fentanyl. Dumbest thing in the world, right? To me, as a juror, if I'm sitting there as a juror, I'm thinking that's an accident. This is an accidental overdose, right? So she's asking for fentanyl. She gets fentanyl. There's no proof to me that he didn't want that he didn't ask for it too, right? Who's to say that she mixed it up in his drink and it was murder, right? Who's to say that he wasn't messing about with drugs too and she didn't procure it for both of them or because he wanted it? Like, people go looking for fentanyl. Do we have any proof he asked for it? I doubt it. I don't know, but the defense might. I don't know. I don't know, Tracy. It's just I as a juror, if I'm sitting there as a juror, I am wondering this. And I feel like the media, the state, at the arraignment 2 years ago, the families, they all put out this idea that Eric was just not capable of this, right? But people who are upstanding citizens, who are professionals, they do get into drugs, right? Especially when they have some sort of pain, like back pain or something like that. They start with just like opiates that are given by doctors, and they get into it, right? And then suddenly they're talking to their housekeeper who's getting them something from someone on the street, right? If Kouri can do it, why are we saying that Eric couldn't? He could have. It's possible. And Kouri's saying that he did. Kouri's saying that he had a drug problem. So why are we just believing that he is just not involved at all in drugs when there is why are we assuming that she's just making all this up? She could be right. She could be lying, but she could be right. Even though the prosecution's case need not be airtight, the defense must do more than have poked holes in the state's case. There must be evidence that supports the elements of the crime charged. That is not the situation before this court. If the state cannot place fentanyl in the hands of the defendant, the state has no case. At the moment, no, because of the way that they've structured their case, yes. Mr. Crozier's statement doesn't just poke holes in their case, it throws a grenade in the middle of it, leaving them nothing but speculation and conjecture, getting them nowhere near the realm of beyond a reasonable doubt. Ooh, ouch. A district court may not deny a defendant bail unless the facts adduced by the state, notwithstanding contradiction of them by defense proof, warrant the conclusion that if believed by a jury, they furnish a reasonable basis for a verdict of guilt. Aha. Without substantial evidence to support the charge of aggravated homicide or attempted aggravated homicide, the analysis ends, and Ms. Richins should be released. For the reasons stated herein, Ms. Richins respectfully moves this honorable court to reconsider its previous detention ruling and grant her privilege of pretrial release. Well, one more thing. Yeah. Someone as a victim, they automatically turn into a kind of say, it's true, Tracy, it's true. It's just they can't speak for themselves, and suddenly it's their family and friends who start speaking for them, and there's nothing they could have ever done wrong. And then the media starts to pick up on that, and the commenters start to go, how could you say such a thing? And I'm going to get people in my comments come after me and go, that's disgusting that you would say such a thing about Eric. It's like, I don't know Eric, but he's a human being and people have frailties. Yeah. Regular people do drugs. They do. Will Hella say all the nice things about me if something happens? No, I'll keep bagging you. That's disgusting. Okay, so also the defense would be complete dicks if they didn't ask for something more, considering that this is a freaking Brady violation, really. Like, it's ridiculous. Prosecutor said she mixed they've gone and done some quotes from media articles. Prosecutors say she mixed a lethal dose of fentanyl into his drink. Kouri Richins' housekeeper allegedly sold her fentanyl pills prior to husband's poisoning. Kouri Richins, the Utah mom who allegedly poisoned her husband with fentanyl-laced cocktail. Prosecutors allege she gave Eric Richins a lethal dose of fentanyl on the night of his death. Eric's family suspects she placed the fentanyl in that Moscow Mule. Okay, and there's all the references. New York Times. There's a YouTube video. There's probably a bunch more that are down here in the... Yeah, there are. CBS, KSL, 48 Hours. I love it. Investigators now say a woman accused of fatally poisoning her husband asked multiple people if they could procure fentanyl for her. Prosecutors previously have said she acquired fentanyl through a woman who cleaned houses for her business, both in the months before and shortly after her husband's death in March 2022. A search warrant granted earlier this month, however, indicates investigators believe the woman was not the only person Richins went to for fentanyl. All these headlines stem from allegations that Ms. Richins procured oxycodone and ultimately fentanyl from her relationships and connections with Carmen Loba, Robert Crozier, and there's some other people here, Nick Bonsavage, and Susan Kohler. Initially, Ms. Loba informed investigators that fentanyl was never procured. See transcript, Carmen Loba interview, April 27, 2023. The investigating officers subsequently interviewed Ms. Loba again on May 3, 2023. It was at that meeting that Ms. Loba indicated that she got fentanyl from Robbie. That's Robert Crozier. See transcript of Carmen Loba interview, May 3, 2023. Mr. Crozier was interviewed in May 2023. During his interview, he confirmed that he sold fentanyl to Ms. Loba on 2 occasions. But you remember, he was out of it then. Then, sometime in April of this year, Mr. Crozier was interviewed by 2 members of the Summit County Prosecution team at a Starbucks in Salt Lake City. And why you'd go to a Starbucks, I don't freaking know. Their coffee's shit. The prosecution team asked Mr. Crozier if he had sold fentanyl to Ms. Loba. Mr. Crozier told them he had not sold fentanyl. Now, this is interesting, though. Hang on, I just thought of something. What if the prosecution now comes back and goes, that's not what Mr. Crozier told us in April? What if they've got like a transcript of that meeting and that's not what he said? Imagine that. Imagine if he's changed his story again. Here in Australia, Starbucks is like looked down on so much. Like, we hate Starbucks here. Like, it never took off here at all. We hate it. Okay. Mr. Crozier specified that he did not remember saying that he had sold fentanyl and told them he had been detoxing during that interview and was out of it. Mr. Crozier told the prosecution team that he was certain he had sold Ms. Lorber Oxycontin 30 milligram pills, also known as Roxy's or Roxy 30s. The prosecution team asked Mr. Crozier several times if he was sure, and Mr. Crozier told them he was sure he sold Ms. Lorber Oxycontin. Okay, so this part. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if they came along and said, nah, he didn't say that? Oh, I can't wait to see what they say. I can't believe that only just occurred to me. Because I haven't responded yet. Hey, Grace Base. Grace Base, this is not nothing. This is not nothing. And wouldn't you make a big deal of this if this was your client? The prosecution has been aware of this exculpatory evidence since April of this year. The prosecution did not inform the defense of this information. No press release was issued, no reports, nothing. The prosecution just kept quiet in preparation for trial. Defense counsel located and interviewed Mr. Crozier within the past 30 days. It was during this interview that the meeting and the exculpatory information became known to defense counsel. This says here, defense looked within the discovery folder provided by the prosecution after the discovery of this information and prior to filing of the request and could not find anything related to this interview. Yeah, it would be hilarious if they looked and were like, oh, whoops, there it is. We did check. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't destroy the case. But I mean, you're gonna try, right? Like you're gonna try and pull an Alec Baldwin, right? And in their defense, the defense isn't even going that far, Grace Base, right? Like, I'm surprised they're only asking for this. They're asking for a reconsideration of bail and a bunch of discovery to be released, like stuff that wasn't discoverable to be discoverable. They're not like chucking a motion to dismiss in there or anything. I like a bit of drama. Amen, my man. You have to be special needs to believe she did this. I love you, dude. They're not asking for much, but they are being dramatic while they don't ask for much. Considering the language and that, you'd think they'd be asking for more. Yeah, I agree, right? It reads a little bit like, what's his name? The Jay, who used to be on Brian Koberger's council. Jay Logston. He used to write a really dramatic motion. It was great. Okay, where we go. The prosecution is required to disclose to the defendant the following material or information directly related to the case of which the prosecution has knowledge and control. Evidence that must be disclosed under the United States and Utah constitutions, including all evidence favorable to the defense that is material to guilt or punishment. Their duty to disclose is continuing duty as the material or information becomes known to the prosecutor. Yes, we know that. It requires the prosecutor in a criminal case to make timely disclosure to the defense of all evidence or information known to the prosecutor that tends to negate the guilt of the accused or mitigates the offense. The timeliness of a prosecutor's disclosure of exculpatory evidence is a matter governed in Utah by our rules of criminal procedure. By rule, a prosecutor must make all disclosures as soon as practicable following the filing of charges before the defendant is required to plead. The court highlighted the distinction between the procedural rule and its ethical counterpart. The requirement of timely disclosure is important. It's aimed at allowing the defendant to adequately prepare a defense. Let's remember that this is set for February at the moment. Now, we've had like a ton of continuances. This is got to be continued again now, surely, because if their motion is granted, and I'll show you what they're asking for in a minute. If their motion is granted, then a bunch more stuff is going to be made discoverable. And if they're going to make any use of the stuff that they're asking to be made discoverable, then that's going to take more time to go through, making it even more of a reason for her to be allowed out, because she's been freaking incarcerated for 2.5 years already. This is just so stupid. And the other thing is, they weren't even going to find out about this because it still hadn't even been disclosed. They found out on their own. This whole thing about timely disclosure, it wasn't even disclosed. That looks so bad. Okay, we know about the timeliness problem. Okay, if the prosecutor's possession of exculpatory evidence is uncovered at trial, a subsequent admission of that fact may be somewhat mitigating at the sanction phase, but the admission is not itself a fulfillment of the rule, duty of disclosure. If that were enough, the rule would be rendered practically toothless. Ooh, toothless. As any savvy prosecutor could avoid an ethics violation by simply expedient of an after-the-fact admission of prior failure of disclosure once it's exposed by someone else. A prosecutor cannot conflate the Brady standard with the prosecutor's ethical duty under Rule 3.8d. The two standards are distinct. The question under Brady is a matter of due process, of whether the prosecution's failure to disclose exculpatory material so undermines our confidence in the verdict that we should order a new trial. But Rule 3.8d's focus is different. It is aimed not only at assuring a fair trial, but articulating a standard for motion for a new one, but also establishing an ethical duty that will avoid the problem in the first place. In stating that duty, our rule requires timely disclosure by the prosecution. That duty cannot be fulfilled by a prosecutor's mere admission of the existence of exculpatory evidence made after a witness first uncovers it. Yes. In addition to the timeliness of disclosure, the prosecution's state of mind relating to the disclosure is paramount in determining appropriate sanction. Here, the prosecution failed to disclose evidence that not only negates Ms. Richins' guilt, ooh, that's pushing it, but completely eviscerates the prosecution's own theory that Ms. Richins procured the fentanyl that ultimately killed her husband. Yeah, that might be pushing it a bit. It might be pushing it just a little bit. The prosecution's failure to disclose and continued concealment of exculpatory evidence that Ms. Richins did not procure fentanyl inflicts ongoing harm on Ms. Richins, the public, and the integrity and our legal system. This is precisely the type of misconduct Rule 3.8 was designed to prevent. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Correct. By withholding this evidence, the prosecution abandons its duty to seek justice and undermines the assurance of a fair trial. Yeah, clap. Yeah, great space. And this is why I was just thinking a minute ago out loud. I was like, what if this isn't what he said back in April? he could be misremembering. The prosecution could come back and go, yeah, nah, we didn't talk to him in April and he said that at all. So suffer, sit and spin. Yeah. I don't like that though. I don't like it when judges just go, nah, not delaying for anything. I think that's it's really against the whole premise of a fair trial. Like when there is a very good reason for there to be a continuance and the judge just digs his heels in and goes, no, we've had enough continuances. This is going to happen now. But there's a good reason, and there will not be a fair trial if something is not fleshed out. Well, judge, you can't just make that decision. Well, you can, but making that decision is violating the rights of the defendant, and you're not the one who's going to go to jail. The defendant is. So, and people will all get up in arms and go, well, this is wasting too much money and too much time, and the victims need justice. Well, none of those people are going to be the ones that are spending their lives in prison. So hello, you've seen her Google searches, right? Some of them. I am not going to be pressured into deciding that she is guilty prior to trial. Mavka. Not. Right? I have not seen video of her mixing up a cocktail of fentanyl for her husband. Right? Not that even you could be sure that that's fentanyl. It's very unlike me to make a decision that somebody is guilty of a murder before I've heard everything. Right? So for me to even lean guilty prior to trial, I really need to see something. You know me. Yeah. So no, I'm not going to be pressured. Google searches mean fucking nothing to me. Damn straight. We never even saw a video of Mark mixing antifreeze to Julie's OJ. Well, I watched that whole trial before I made my mind up, darling. Yes, Mavka, because everyone's innocent before trial, you idiot. No doubt there will be an attempt to chalk this up to an oversight. Yes, there will be. No doubt there will be an attempt to chalk this up to an oversight, perhaps as an oversight that should be excused as nothing more than carelessness. But this was not an oversight. This was a continuing and knowing concealment. It's not a blemish on the fruit. It is rot at the core, poisoning the whole harvest of justice. I love it. Cute. Number 15 says, in evaluating the question whether the generally appropriate sanction is proper here, our rules call for an evaluation of aggravating and mitigating circumstances. Okay. Covenants without the sword are but words. Thomas Hobbes, Leviathan. Nice. I might get that tattooed. Courts have long trusted the prosecution to discharge its duty without supervision, but when that trust is broken, when evidence negating guilt is withheld, trust alone no longer suffices. In this case, words like timely and becomes known, suddenly demand a deadline. Council moves this court for standing order imposing a 3-day deadline on the prosecution to disclose the following to the defense. Okay, so this is what they're asking for. All evidence, including emails, text messages, phone messages, recordings, video footage, or any other form of correspondence involving the prosecution teams or any law enforcement official and Robert Crozier, including correspondence about setting up a meeting and any sort of summaries of the meeting. Okay, so they want everything to do with their talking to Robert Crozier. Okay. I don't know what good that's really going to do them, because I don't think they're even going to use Robert Crozier anymore. Okay. All notes, correspondence, or reports prepared by law enforcement officials or any member of the prosecution team discussing Robert Crozier's interview in April and or any other dates. They really must think that something's going on here. Any statements, recordings, reports, or notes in whatever medium, including emails and texts, that tend to negate guilt. Well, they should be getting that shit anyway. Furthermore, the defense respectfully requests this court require the prosecution to disclose on the record or to reduce to writing and provide to the defense all oral statements discovered when interviewing witnesses that tend to negate guilt or contradict prior statements made by the witnesses. They're asking for stuff that the prosecution's required to do anyway. Negate guilt or contradict prior statements made by witnesses. Why are they asking for stuff that is already required? They're not really asking for much, are they? Why are they being so lame? They're asking for everything to do with Robert Crozier, who I really, really doubt the state's even going to call now. Like, the state's going to construct their whole argument based like without him. Like, they're gonna rework their case without Robert Crozier, obviously. Assuming that Robert Crozier, hang on, let me think about this. No. Robert Crozier's gone and made an affidavit saying that he didn't sell fentanyl. So regardless of whether he actually had a meeting with the state and said that back in April, regardless, I reckon he's off the table, right? So all of this stuff, all of these emails and text messages and phone messages and recordings, I don't know what the defense thinks they're going to get out of all that that's going to be of use to them. Maybe they know something, but it seems to be kind of useless because Robert Crozier is not a great witness. He's a druggie, right? So this stuff, I don't get it. And this other stuff, information that tends to negate guilt, the state has to provide that. They have to. That's their obligation. So why are they asking for a bunch of nothing? Like, the biggest thing they're asking for is in another document, which is a reconsideration of bail. And let's be like honest about this. They're not going to get it. They're going to get nothing. They're going to get nothing. So once again, the prosecutors in the Richins case have acted like asses, and they're going to get away with it. They're going to get away with it. And she's very likely, almost definitely, she's going to stay in jail. And the chances of her getting a fair trial are fucking 0 to slim. And I'm not going to be deciding whether I think she's guilty until I've heard everything, because I have doubts. I have a lot of doubts. As far as her financial crimes, they're a completely separate deal, and I'm very glad that they're being tried separately. You like Bloodworth? How can you like Bloodworth? He's an ass. If she was only facing the M, I'd give bail, but she isn't. Honestly, I have been appalled by the way she's been treated throughout this entire thing. She has been just vilified like a witch from day one. She has been absolutely treated like she is guilty since that arraignment. The arraignment was a circus, absolute circus. Like, we all got to just sit for 2 hours and hear every bad thing she's ever done in her whole life from the family of Eric Richins. It was, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that that is allowed. But apparently in Utah, that's allowed. Right? Hearsay, conjecture, gossip. It was just gross. And she had to just sit there and take it. And like the YouTube channels, the commenters, the media, etc., they just, from that moment on, she was just the most hated woman. And it was like Sarah Boone, except Sarah Boone, actually, there was a video of her being an ass, right? Whereas this woman, there was nothing like that. There was nothing like that. It was just the word of a bunch of people. And she was some narcissist who had the gall to write a book. But what if she wasn't? What if she wasn't? Right? What if this was an accident? What if she was just someone who was dabbling with drugs with her ex-husband, or her husband that she was about to be estranged from, and they were angry at each other, right? They were about to break up, but they were also dabbling in drugs, and he accidentally passed from fentanyl like thousands of people do. What if? Guy Vermectin, hey! Future stream idea, put cases you've covered into Grok and ask it what their verdict would be. Well, Grok will just say everyone's guilty, because thing is that Grok is pretty much just like a juror. I see they've just dropped the drug charge. What drug charge? Which one? We didn't hear how she was slinging tang to every contractor she hired. Well, good for her. Soon Grok will literally be jurors. Yeah. The prosecutors are like, it's like they're just picking things up, throwing shit at her, and then being like, oh, whoops, no, we'll take that one away. Oh, but we'll try this now. Just, I can't even get my head around how much she is a dartboard for them. If she tried to murder him once, that he accidentally OD'd the second time. That's assuming she did, Mav. Why are you buying everything that they're selling you? Right? Why are you buying the sandwich bullshit? Why? They're a load of crap. Don't buy it yet. Yeah, you haven't heard the other side yet. Just wait. Her Google's texts and his texts. So you've seen everything, have you? Like everything. Google's mean fucking nothing. I'd love to see your Googles, dude. And see things in context. Right? When they can pick out little pieces of people's texts and Google searches and stuff and make it look like anything happened. Once I heard House Long to Die in Cold, I was solid on Karen. And then someone come along and said, oh, but, you know, that can be not at 2:39 a.m. because someone can open up a Google tab later on. Right? So you just know, you don't know. No, you don't, Hella. What do you mean, no, you don't? What do you mean? Right? Unless you see things in proper context, then you can misinterpret. 2:29, 2:30, whatever. Again, I hate the Karen Reid case. You know that. I've been looking at her sideways based off her closing on a house a day or two after her husband passed. Yeah. I've been listening this whole time while creating something in Canva, so I'm just now noticing Hella's red lipstick. This is telling. New man. No such luck. But I am working on a new channel that does like tutorials for Canva and Photoshop and stuff like that. So keep an eye out. No one wants to see Mavka's Googles. No one does. She Googled how much Fent is lethal, how no delete text is poisoning ruled as accidental on death certificate. Luxury prisons for the rich. I knew about luxury prisons for the rich. How much? When Mavka, what were the dates on those? Because that would sound to me, and I remember those. I don't know the dates. That those things could be because he overdosed, right? You can be poisoned and not be poisoned by a person, right? It's like alcohol poisoning. You can be poisoned by alcohol of your own self-infliction. How much Fent is lethal? Well, fair enough. If he had fentanyl, she could have gone and gotten him the fentanyl of his request. Thought of that? Yeah, that's suspicious, right? But it doesn't mean that she went and got the fentanyl and he didn't know anything about it, right? And she mixed it into his drink and was like, here you go, darling. Right? It doesn't mean that. It could mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. They could have both been fucking around with fentanyl. Luxury prisons. Well, think about this for a second, right? Imagine if they're both fucking around with fentanyl. She knows that she gave him the fentanyl. It's an accident, but she's like, oh shit, they're going to think I murdered him. I'm going to prison. She Googles luxury prisons for rich. Stupid, She does. Well, that could mean anything, Mav. I'd like to see the rest of that conversation. But you know, this is why I also say that the state doesn't not have a case. Like, of course they have a case. The jury's going to look at all this shit and just go, guilty. There could be lots of explanations for all this stuff, but the jury's just going to say guilty. I really want to hear her side of it, though. I really want to see her side of it. Hey, young black economist. I saw you in Lawyer You Know chat. I actually, I watched back Lawyer Know's stream about this, and I saw you in there. And I think, was it you or people in court? There was like 3 people who were like pushing back on this. And you were one of them. Can always count on ya. Free my girl. Good to see you. You're in sweeping flow state. Hello, very base. I will not be pressured into going along with this, right? I have not heard her side of it, and we should hear her side of it. Right? It's been 2.5 years of crap. 2.5 years of crap. And yeah, there's probably evidence against it. Like, yeah, her Googles probably look crap. Her text messages probably look stupid. But there are potentially other explanations. People fuck around with fentanyl. And fentanyl is lethal as fuck, right? The silliest explanation that I have heard, or the silliest crap I've heard, is that, oh, well, but there was 20 times the lethal dose in his system, right? 5 times the lethal dose killed him, but there was more in his stomach. So therefore, he couldn't have possibly have taken it willingly, right? That's how people overdose, because they think they're taking this amount, right? But it's not like a pharmaceutical grade system the way it's made, right? It's kind of like a 2-year-old making a cake. They chuck the stuff in there and they mix it up. And then, you know how when your kid makes a cake and there's like a chunk of powder in there, there's a chunk of butter over there. Yeah, like there'll be a chunk that's really concentrated, and you might get that chunk by accident, because there's not like a quality control system going on there. Yeah, that's how it happens. So the fact that he had that much in his system isn't necessarily because somebody did that on purpose. He could have taken fentanyl intentionally, but not intentionally taken that much. That can happen, and it happens to thousands of people all the time. Ask any ER nurse, because they see fentanyl overdoses all the time. Yeah, she did. She had a boyfriend when her husband was poisoned, and he was seeing someone too. So they were on the rocks. They were on the rocks. Yeah. I just can't believe they didn't tell that the witness changed his statement until now. Right. So, young black economist, here's the thing, right? It's possible that this Robert, or whatever he is, Crozier, is making this shit up too, right? So I hadn't really considered that till I was halfway through the stream. It's like, oh shit, what if the prosecution comes along now and goes, That's not what he said to us back in April. And they can prove it. So that's possible, right? But if it's true that the prosecution did have a meeting with him back in April and he recanted his testimony then, it looks terrible for the state. It looks really, really bad. Really bad. So she was dumb enough to Google all of those incriminating things. Yeah, see, I don't see her as being that stupid. Maybe she is. But you think about this, right? Like, if she's that stupid, is she smart enough to commit all this fraud and stuff? Or is she innocent? I don't know. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And I don't like that everywhere you go, everybody assumes that she did this. Yeah? And she has 3 sons. Like, she's got kids who are growing up without her, and she might not have done this. Yeah? I don't like that there is this tendency for judges to take parents away from their children for years when they don't know that they are guilty of anything, right? It's such a big deal to deny children of their parents. It's such a big deal. That is like they've lost a father already. They've taken the mother away for years and they don't know. Right? He does not know. The judge does not know that she did anything. She's not a danger to her children. Does he really think she's a danger to her children? That's something to really weigh up. Right? So is it for the best that she's taken away from her kids for 3 years? Is it for the best for her children? Think about her kids rather than her for a minute. Yes, she is the one who wrote the children's book on grieving. Yeah. Yeah, it really bothers me that it's so easy for these judges to just take away a parent from their kids for like indefinitely, basically. And she could be found not guilty, and it's just like, no, too bad, kids. Well, that's good for you, Mavka, but you're not the kids, right? So thing is that I think if you ask any child who they'd rather have, it's their mum. That's a good question, Beautiful Waterfall. If she had any sign of that book on her computer before the death, then that's pretty damning. Yeah. That'd do it. Your Neil Gordon book comment was amazing. Okay, let me find it. Is it true Neil Gordon is ghostwriting her next book? Okay, so for those who don't know, Neil Gordon is the ghostwriter for Becky Hill, If you don't know who Becky Hill is, Becky Hill wrote Behind the Doors of Justice, which was the book that was written about the Murdoch trial, and Becky Hill was the court reporter, and now she's in trouble for jury tampering, and it might be the whole reason why Alex Murdoch gets a new trial. Done. See, now you get it. Right? Now you get it. Okay. So, if you have to explain it, it's probably not that funny. Yeah. Indeed. Free Kouri. Like, I think Kouri should be out of jail. I don't know if she did it or not. I will say, I don't know if she did it or not. I'm not going to say she's definitely innocent because I need to decide yet. But I think she should be out of jail. It's 2.5 years. This is stupid. This has gone on long enough. I don't think she's a danger to anybody. I think she can be easily monitored. And the prosecution have been asses all this time. They need to be sanctioned. Something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. Like, they can't get away with this. They have done too many things now, and the state needs to have some repercussion. They can't just keep getting away with this shit. So, yes. I think she should be out. And then when there's a trial, then I'll make my mind up. I think we should all just wait to make our mind up. It'd be nice. It'd be nice if more people would just wait till trial to make their mind up. But I can't tell anyone what to do. That's just how I feel. You're going to write to Kouri? She needs to know she has supporters. Yeah. You trust everyone, though, mushroom murderers. Yeah. I do. What if they confess differently for funsies? Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to send you guys over to Sean because he is doing his crime stream very soon. He is indeed. And then I'm going to have a little whine to you about my shoulder. So I went for my acupuncture yesterday. And I said to the acupuncture guy, please don't beat me up again. And why would an acupuncture dude beat me up? I don't know. He beat me up last week. Apparently he's also a physiotherapist. Yeah. Anyway, he beat me up and it hurt for like 36 hours after that. And I was like, please don't do that again. So this time he only stuck needles in me, which is what I thought acupuncturists do. There we go. All right, we're redirected now. Yeah, that's what I thought acupuncturists do. Are there any good cases coming up? I don't know, but tomorrow you need to be over at Dali's at 5 p.m. Eastern because it's the second part of the plaintiff in the tar jousting case, the Ohio tar jousting case. So good. Oh my God. If you haven't been watching Dali streams, good. Yeah, you really need to watch it. Clenny is in December, isn't she? Prosecutors are lazy because they're allowed to get away with such low-tier, no math theories. They're just, I hate them. I can't remember any prosecutors I've liked recently. I believe she committed the fraud, the unaliving of the husband's up in the air. Yeah, I don't know much about the fraud, but fraud's easier to prove. Like there's checks and documents and stuff, right? Like if you've got your document trail, then it's there. Like there's actual real physical evidence. Whereas this murder case is all circumstantial. There's nothing physical at all. So there needs to be, like, they need to build up all of this circumstantial evidence. It needs to be a lot. Nothing exciting going on. Where are all the murderers hiding out? They're on strike. Yeah. No, Jamboy, I like Jamboy. So Jamboy in the Mark Jansen case, he's an asshole, but he was great to watch. Wow, he was such a good prosecutor to watch. He was fun. Attack dog. Like the prosecutor in Nicholas Casotis trial just said, I submit to you. Was that sexual? I submit to you. Kouri is giga cooked on fraud. There is at least 1% she gets away with murder. She's not going to get away with murder even if she didn't do it. Because juries. She's screwed. She's screwed anyway. Who is Alicia Andrews? What did she do? What did she do? When is the girl from Mexico, New Mexico, the baby girl, what's her name? The girl who had a baby and she was in hospital and baby went in the trash bin. That girl. When's she gonna be? Surely she's gonna be soon. That's been a while. I thought it was coming up pretty soon. Yeah, Treviso. Yeah, when's hers? It's ages away. Oh, it's being appealed. Really? So yeah, we've got the arraignment of Charlie Kirk's alleged killer, 30th of October, I believe. And that should be really interesting because, as we know, we're just talking about, in Utah, arraignments are really full on. You get the victims and such are allowed to speak. And so everyone and their dog is probably going to be streaming it, but I know Andrea said she's going to, so it'll probably be over there. Walsh is delayed because of competency issues. Walsh is a Massachusetts one, isn't it? I don't watch anything Massachusetts because I can't handle the accents. Are they waiting for the Supreme Court to decide on her suppression issue? That might be it. Yeah, I just can't listen to Massachusetts people. They're all assholes. No offense, anyone in chat. Hella insulting someone's accent. Yeah. Absolutely. What happened? Our nose. Our nose. That was weird. Hang on. I'll hang out with you until Sean starts. I just wanted to play you a little clip and then my video went off. I'll play you another one. My other favorite one.
It should be from Goebbels versus Hawkins. That's the Aussie version of Goebbels versus Hawkins. Hey, Pierce, Desi Freeman, because that is from Desi's Neighbours, Channel 9 piece. Desi's still free. They still haven't found Desi. They've stood down like 300 officers. The cops have pretty much given up. In fact, they've even gotten like his brother. His brother's gone on TV and gone, I think he's probably dead now. I hope he's at peace. Right? It's like, yeah, we hope he's dead, because then it doesn't look so bad that we're not out looking for him because he shot 2 officers. But yeah, it's been like 6 weeks and I can't find him. I reckon he's like in Thailand or something. How funny. No, cadaver dog, turn up nothing. Nope. Desi is free. He's a free man. How funny is that? How funny is that? Dingo ate him? Nah, he's probably eating dingoes himself. Yep. The sovereign citizen movement in Australia is strong. It's behind him. He's halfway to China by now. Yeah. Are you at least feeding him well locked up in your basement? He wouldn't stay in the basement. He's a free man. We don't have basements here, by the way. I don't really understand the whole concept of a basement. Why would you want to build something underneath the ground? Gross. Yuck. Like termites and stuff down there. Ew. Anyway, I'm going to send you over to Sean. I think he'll be starting in a minute. Make sure you say hello, Rage, when you get there. I've always wanted a basement. No, yuck. You have tornadoes, I guess. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Free Kouri. Don't listen to anybody when they say she's guilty. No one's guilty until they're proven so, and even then you need to question it because jurors suck.
Her name was Ella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. The co-host is Dolly and she dances sometimes. The words are always surrounding because she's an 803. To be certain, excited in your romance. Her cat is